Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
So we just shared some breaking news with you. Not exactly sure what all this means, other than I think Aileen Cannon is the Trump-appointed unqualified hack that we thought she was. So Hugo Lowell said, new on Trump classified docs, U.S. Judge Aileen Cannon appears to disclose that the special counsel is using an out-of-district grand jury to continue to investigate and or seek post-indictment hearings, and strikes 2 filings by prosecutors. Joyce Vance said Judge Cannon responds to the government's request for a hearing on Walt Nauta's lawyers' conflicts, and discloses the existence of a grand jury in the investigation in another district while denying the government's motion to seal. The government can't appeal. This may tee up the issue of her fitness on this case. And one last one. Allison Gill said Judge Cannon reveals Jack Smith is using an out-of-district grand jury to investigate the Docs case. Special counsel filed that under seal to preserve grand jury secrecy. She's denied that. I assume out-of-district means outside of the Southern District of Florida. Glenn, can you explain all this to us?
Yeah. So the universe of the information I have is what you just read, Steph,
Right.
but I definitely have a couple of reactions. First of all, when federal prosecutors use a grand jury, they are extraordinarily careful to make sure they have the lawful authority to use that grand jury. Let me give you a quick example, an easy example. If you're investigating a bank robbery in a grand jury, you've investigated the case, you've presented all the witnesses and the evidence, and you've had the grand jury return an indictment. One bank robber, no co-conspirators. You can no longer investigate the case in the grand jury.
Okay.
You can't use the grand jury to help you develop evidence for trial if you've already indicted all the known charges. But there are often lots of other charges and lots of potential co-conspirators that you can continue to investigate, both in the jurisdiction where it happened, and if there happened to be any criminal conduct in other jurisdictions, you can use those other grand juries. Steph, we confront this problem all the time. We have experts. We had an expert in my office, the DC U.S. Attorney's Office, that we would go to if we had even a hint of a question about the propriety of continuing to use the grand jury. My money's on Jack Smith doing this right. And the beauty of this is Judge Cannon may have exposed herself, we don't know yet, but may have exposed herself for the advocate for Donald Trump that she is. If it forces an appeal because she's wrong and she's again abusing her discretion as a judge, this may be the perfect vehicle to move to have her recuse herself. So I'll be happy to see this litigation work its way up to the appellate court.
I mean, I would assume it's relevant, Glenn. We were talking earlier, the Donald, this right-wing website where all the terrorist chatter right before January 6th has had explicit threats against Jack Smith and the entire grand jury. So clearly the government has an interest in grand jury secrecy, correct?
Yeah, and the fact that she apparently just outed the fact that there's a grand jury investigation in another jurisdiction is really inexcusable. You don't have to do that if you want to deny a government motion. You can, there are any number of ways to shield that information. So again, I need to learn more about it, but this may in the end turn out to be a good thing because it may result in litigation that can expose Judge Cannon for the unqualified judge that she may be.
By the way, speaking of qualified judges, Judge Chutkan confirmed 95-0 on a bipartisan basis, roundly praised by both sides as a fair judge. He, of course, is asking her to recuse for no reason at all, asking for a different venue. Because, because he needs all white people. He's pretty much saying, right, he wants West Virginia, which he calls impartial. Right. So the only place that's an impartial jury to him is somewhere that voted for him by 40 points, right. I guess. And so you said, by the way, we see right through this BS. I tried cases to D.C. juries for decades. Trump will get a fair trial. Trump will be convicted, and he knows it, which is exactly why he's doing this. He knew he'd lose in 2020, so announced in advance that it would be rigged. So here he goes again. So I assume these are two things are going to be roundly rejected. Can you
completely and summarily rejected, because he will not. There is no argument that there needs to be a change of venue. He thinks if he insults the citizens and the residents of D.C. enough, he can say, boy, they don't like me. I need to have my case tried elsewhere. Doesn't work that way, sport. If it did, every defendant would have license to just berate the jurors in the jurisdiction where the guy committed the crime and have his case moved elsewhere. And I'll tell you, I was very pleased when I heard Judge Tanya Chutkan was the presiding judge. Many years ago, we used to try murder cases against one another. I know her well. I know her most directly from being a really worthy adversary, tough, smart, tactically savvy, good in front of a jury, and trustworthy, honorable. You know, it just had integrity in everything she did. It was always a pleasure to try cases against her. More recently, I would see her presiding over criminal cases in federal court. She's the real deal. Judge Chutkan don't play, and Donald Trump is in deep trouble. He's going to get a fair trial, but he's going to get a speedy trial. And if I had to bet $1, I would say we're going to see a trial perhaps January, February of 2024.
Wow. So, Glenn, so let's get to this, what we knew was going to happen, all these threats over the weekend. You said, you tweeted just 24 hours after being told by the judge not to threaten witnesses, Trump appears to violate the judge's order. What now? Let's talk about the wonderful world of show cause orders. You'll have to explain what that is. The first one was, if you go after me, I'm coming after you. You said, in case you wonder why I've been saying there's clear and convincing evidence Trump belongs in pretrial detention, here's additional proof. So talk to us about what she should do and why. I mean, I think, as you just said, a speedy trial is the best answer. But what does she do? Does she put him in jail?
So here's what she does. So a show cause order is when a defendant is on supervision, under court supervision. That can be a pretrial defendant, or it can be somebody who's on probation after conviction. In both of those settings, the judge sets conditions for the person who's under supervision. And if the person violates the conditions, then the judge has any number of possible sanctions. Here's what I predict she's going to do. What is a show cause order? When the judge gets wind that there may be a violation of the conditions of release, the court will issue a show cause order, which directs the defendant to come to court with his defense attorneys and show cause why he shouldn't be sanctioned, why his conditions of release shouldn't be increased, be made more severe, and ultimately why he shouldn't be stepped back, detained pending trial, remand to the custody of the Bureau of Prisons. Here's what she's going to do, I predict. I don't know if she's going to do it at the next court hearing on August 28th, or she's going to do it sooner because of the threats that he is posting against witnesses. She will say, listen, here are the exact conditions that are being set for you. Here are the do's and don'ts of your pretrial release.
Do be and don't be, like we used in school.
If you do one of the don'ts, guess what? I'm giving you, Defendant Trump, the keys to the jail. And if you violate a single condition I am setting for you today, I promise you, I will remand you to custody and you will remain detained until the completion of your trial. Do you understand, Defendant Trump? And then Trump can't help himself. He will violate, and Judge Chutkan is just strong enough and just honorable enough a jurist that she will make good on her promise. And Donald Trump, I believe, is getting closer and closer to a jail cell and to pretrial detention.
Yep. Yeah, well, our friend Joyce Vance and yours said free speech is one thing, but this is over the line. As a prosecutor, I'd be sorely tempted to make a motion to revoke Trump's pretrial bond and put him in custody. Let him explain it to the judge. So does Jack Smith have to do that? Is this solely in the judge's court, or do you have to make a motion if you're the prosecutor?
Yeah, great question. So show cause hearings, when defendants are ordered to appear and explain why they violated a condition of release, can come into existence in one of two ways. Either the prosecutor can make the motion, or the judge gets notified by what's called the Pretrial Services Agency. It's an arm of the court that monitors people who are on pretrial release. Sometimes the Pretrial Services Agency will alert the judge to a possible violation of a condition of release, and the judge, sua sponte, on her own, will just issue the show cause order. As a prosecutor, I have been involved in show cause hearings that sort of came into existence in both of those ways.
So would we know if Jack Smith has done that? Or as you say, will we only find out if either August 28th or whenever the next hearing is?
Yeah, no, if Jack Smith files a request for a show cause hearing because Trump is violating conditions, that will be a public filing.
Okay.
That'll be right on the public docket. And if she does it on her own, it will also be on the public docket. So we'll know as soon as it happens. As I say, it may happen before the next scheduled court hearing if the judge believes it's a grave enough violation, or she may just wait until August 28th.
Okay. Last thought, Norm Ornstein said he didn't even wait a day to give the middle finger to the judge. At a minimum, he needs to be hauled immediately back into court to explain. One advantage of locking him up until the trial, his lawyers would immediately demand it be speedy. I mean, I hadn't thought of that part of it. I mean, that may be true, you know.
Yeah. Although I will say I had lots of pretrial detainees, and the defense attorneys would still continue the case over and over and over again because delay typically is the defendant's friend. It inures to the benefit of the defendant. I don't think Trump will be so happy in an orange jumpsuit eating bologna sandwiches.
And might very well be invisible and is an escape risk, as we said, because it's a lot of orange. So in terms of televising the trial, you tweeted, every American has been affected by Trump's effort to steal the full value of our vote. Every American deserves a seat at the table. I think that is a great argument. Who is it up to and when?
Up to the Chief Justice. He's the head of the U.S. Judicial Council. And here's the thing, and I'm going to be doing a video about this today, Steph. There's a federal law called the Crime Victims' Rights Act. It is the Victims' Bill of Rights. And it says if you are a victim, you shall not be excluded from the courtroom. Count 4 in the indictment, conspiracy to deprive us of our voting rights, make us victims under that law. And if you don't televise the trial, you are violating our rights as victims. And I think everybody, I'm going to try to do a cut and paste so you can send it to your elected representative. We all deserve a seat at the table because we are all crime victims, and the federal law gives us a right to attend the trial.
Yeah. So you're going on vacation this week. Now, if the Stephanie Miller vacation rule holds, that's when he will be indicted in Georgia, is while you're gone.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to know, right? The barricades are up. This fits the time frame. I mean, could be as early as today, right? But what do you think?
When I heard the barricades are up and traffic is apparently being either stopped or diverted in Fulton County around the courthouse, it doesn't feel like they're going to be stopping or diverting traffic for a full week without indicting somebody. So I have a feeling, even though I'm going on a very brief vacation for a family wedding, I hope, I can't say I hope, but, you know, I would like to be here for it. But Steph, even on vacation, you know, we're going to talk about this.
Justice doesn't take a vacation. Justice delayed is justice denied. Don't be vacation selfish, Glenn Kirschner. I got to say, on the no one's above the law front, though, I'm glad that the sheriff there said, you get booked, you get fingerprinted, you get a mugshot. Because I think we are like, he's already gotten special treatment. And, you know, I am looking forward to people seeing what equal justice actually means.
Steph, if he were anybody else, he would be in pretrial detention. You get to detain somebody pending trial according to the law if there's clear and convincing evidence that they're a danger to the community. Donald Trump is the single most dangerous pretrial defendant in the country right now, and he ought to be in a jail cell pending trial, but it looks like he may end up putting himself there.
Yeah. And their argument, unfortunately, is, but that's why, because his supporters are violent. So if you put him in jail, there'll be violence. I mean, isn't it ironic in this vicious circle of right? That's why he's there, for inciting violence.
Republicans say they won't cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. But can honest, hard-working middle-class Americans really believe what these politicians say? Republicans said they wouldn't overturn Roe v. Wade. Here's what Supreme Court Justices Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett said during their Senate confirmation hearings.
Roe v. Wade, it is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. A good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court.
Roe v. Wade. It's settled as a precedent of the Supreme Court.
Roe is not a super precedent, but that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled.
Well, we saw how that turned out. They played us for fools. Tell your elected officials to keep their hands off of our Social Security and health care benefits. Fool me once. Let Majority Rule was responsible for this message. LetMajorityRule.org is a project of the Marvin Lucas Super PAC, which is responsible for and paid for this ad and is not affiliated with or authorized by any political campaign or candidate or candidates committee.